like to take you back to 30 October, a Monday morning, 2006. I stepped onto my motorcycle to head to work. And I don't know if other motorcyclists experience the same, but I've always had a higher sense of alertness. I was always more aware of everybody around me, always scanning for potential danger. And I've imagined different kind of scenarios in my mind for quite some time. And also the one on this day, where I would fly through the air, make a graceful roll over the car, and land on my 2 feet. Ta-da! But unfortunately, not this time. This time I found myself on the asphalt, not able to move my legs, and with an excruciating pain in my back. And to be honest, I was mad as hell, because where was this guy who came in front of me with his car? And sorry, it was a guy. And in the midst of all this chaos, I heard somebody say something about a spinal cord injury. I had no idea what it was. All I thought was, take me to the hospital. Because that's where they fix people, don't they? I went to the hospital and they did fix me. Not completely, but they fixed my spine, put it together with some metal, and my legs, they wouldn't work. Too much was damaged. So not only did I have to learn to live with, or I found out what a spinal cord injury was, but I also had to deal with this whole new reality. How was I gonna live, and what was my life gonna look like? And what felt like a profound loss actually turned out to be an opportunity. An opportunity to explore what I was made of. And little did I know that this accident would send a ripple that would shake the foundation of everything I knew about life. Because sport had always been an important part of my life, but I couldn't have imagined lying there on the pavement that sport would return, and sport would actually rock my world. Now, mindset is the foundation of everything we know. And I had to make a powerful shift from a mindset of limitations to a mindset of opportunities. And not only about how I viewed my body, but also about how I viewed my life and myself as a person. Because I was this young, strong, and independent woman. And all of a sudden, I was this woman who needed help, trying to navigate this new body, trying to find out how it worked. And something which used to feel so easy, like simple things like lifting your legs, all of a sudden were so heavy, felt like a burden. And now, I can throw my legs in the air like they're as light as a feather. So that's how much can change. And soon I realized that I had 2 choices. I could remain the patient and be depending on others to help me for the rest of my life, or I could try to grab back my life, find ways how to make it better, or even become a better person. I can tell you, I chose the second one. I wasn't going to remain the patient. I stayed into the hospital for 10 days before going into rehab. And during those 10 days, and of course it wasn't always easy, I made myself a promise. I would work my ass off to make sure that I would be as independent as possible. And in the rehab, I could work to become that strong and independent woman again. And that first moment, I got out of bed, into a wheelchair, I felt something shift. It felt like possibilities were opening up. I felt like I had a bit of freedom back. And it was actually an emotional moment that first time, because I was rolling down the hospital hallway in this way too big and ugly chair. Seeing my parents at the end of the hallway with tears in their eyes, they knew before I did that I was going to be okay. And with this newfound freedom came new thoughts as well. Because I knew that if I would be able to sport, that I would be fine. Because I used to be an athlete, track and field, heptathlete, pole vaulting. Well, I knew that that wasn't going to happen anymore, not with my new accessory. But I wasn't going to give up. I was going to put all my effort in trying to find a new sport, experience what's out there, and trying to find that sport that would fit me, that would give me a sense of purpose again. And with this newfound freedom, being in that wheelchair, thinking about sports which can help me get back into life, I vividly started to imagine and I could see myself skiing and wakeboarding again. Now, we all know, coming from the Netherlands, that skiing is something you do for a winter holiday activity. And wakeboarding is something which is really limited to summer months. And I needed to find something that would replace athletics, something I could do all year round. And that's when I found wheelchair basketball. The first moment I stepped onto the field and tried it, I was hooked. The power, the excitement, the strategy, the energy it gave me, it all clicked. And of course, the bumping into each other, I like that too. And once my club coach introduced me to the head coach of the national team, and they started to talk about that maybe, just maybe, I would be able to make it to the Paralympic Games. Well, you don't have to tell me that twice. Tell me where to go to, how many hours to train, what do I have to do to make it to the team? Because if me and my wheelchair were going to be inseparable for the rest of our lives, we'll better make the most of it. And I did. I made it to the team. I went to 3 Paralympic Games, won 2 bronze medals. And as if that wasn't enough, I started to look at the Winter Games as well. And I discovered that skiing wasn't just a winter sport holiday. It was a professional Paralympic sport. And that's when a little seed was planted in my mind. Now, I'm no fool to think that you can just switch into another sport and be successful in it. But I'm not the one to back down from a challenge. So I made a plan. And during my basketball career, I started to work with the ski team as well. Did training sessions, competed in races, all of that to find out how capable was I in this sport. How hard did I have to work to make it to the top? How does this new sport work at all? So that by the time I went to the Games in Rio 2016, I was ready. I was ready to make the switch. And I got into the para-alpine skiing world. I couldn't have imagined that I would run into some obstacles as well, because I came from wheelchair basketball, elite athlete, never had to worry about making it to the team, my position on the team. And all of a sudden, I was this newbie, green as grass. Who was I? All those doubts came. Who was I and how was I going to do this? And I knew that just sticking to the plan, believing in myself, and just working really hard, I would get there, and I would make that extra step. Now, unfortunately, the 2018 Winter Games came a little bit too early, which was a pretty terrible setback, because I really believed that I would, and I could make it to the Games. And I didn't. Luckily, I had some fabulous friends who had a plan B. They took me on a skiing holiday. So instead of being at home in front of the TV, probably crying, seeing my teammates there and I wasn't, I went out on the slopes and I experienced why I love this sport and that I wasn't gonna quit. And that I had more in store and I had more to learn and more to give. So I grabbed myself back together and I worked really hard. And in 2022, I made it. I made it to the Beijing Paralympic Games. Now, you would think, life is great, you made it. The circle is round, because I started my first Paralympic Games in Beijing with basketball. And now I was there with skiing. The circle was round. And yeah, the circle of locations was round, but my circle wasn't finished yet. Because I knew I could do better. So I decided to continue. Now, elite sport is not always easy, nor is it fair. And I experienced that the hard way. Because after the games in Rio, I came into this mental horrible state. And on top of that, I had this injury that didn't want to heal. And I came into this negative spiral, which I couldn't get out of. And I couldn't get the help and the support that I needed. And one day I could ski fabulous, and I became world champion in downhill. And the next day, I didn't know how to ski anymore. Or at least my mind didn't know. There was no connection. And by the end of the season, I got kicked out of the national team. Which was horrible, of course, in the beginning, but I also knew that I couldn't continue like this for another year. It wouldn't be healthy for me. So it actually started to feel like a relief. A lot of stress fell off my shoulders. And I decided it would be too easy to just quit and walk away. No, I was going to continue solo, by myself. I would figure it out. So I found myself a coach and a team where I could train with, go to competitions, the races. And it felt like freedom. Now, I'm not just an athlete anymore. I'm also my own team manager, my own travel agency, my own chauffeur, my own tech, and much more. But it's worth it. And now my eyes are set on the 2026 Paralympic Games in Milano Cortina, so next year. And I'm doing everything in my power to make that dream a reality. And I'm really thankful with all the good people around me that support me. Now, as an elite athlete, we often think that the world revolves around us. And it does, we think, in our own small world. But we also have the responsibility of being a role model. And not just for other people with a disability, but for society as a whole. Because I want to let you know that if something really horrible happens, there's always a way to twist it around, to see what life has in store for you. And to show you that people with a disability are just normal people, like you and I. We have people with normal thoughts and hopes and dreams and needs. They just go about in a different way. And as an ambassador and a board member of the Dierkuyt Foundation, we try to help people enjoy the fun of sports, especially when it's not always easy to find a sport in your own community. And with initiatives like Sport Heroes at School, I give clinics to primary schools and tell them not only the fabulous things that I've gone through, but also that if life gives you a hard time, you can work your way through it. Don't give up and try to continue. And by playing sports together, I show them that we can all play together. And that by doing sports, you also learn essential life skills. Essential life skills like perseverance, adaptability, social skills, teamwork, and so many more. They prepare you for the rest of your life. Now, if you would have told me that I would never run or jump on the track again, I would have thought that my life was over. And now I think, well, as long as I can use my arms, I'll be fine. But throughout my journey, I've met some people, especially in rehab, but also later in life, that couldn't use their arms. And they still had a happy and fulfilled life. So no matter what life throws at you, it's all about thinking in possibilities and exploring those possibilities. Because it's not about what you've lost, it's about what you can still achieve. And that your mindset has the power to make a difference. So by the time you leave tonight, I challenge you to think about how you can make a positive change in your life, no matter the obstacles. And that your mindset has the power not only to shape your future, but also the world around you. Thank you.